The regent likes to go to entertainment venues every day and order several male models to dance. Afterward, to avoid being seen, he always chooses to escape through the window. However, he never expected that this scene would be seen by the prince who was out. The prince never thought his royal uncle had such a fetish. Now the regent couldn't explain himself. But who would have guessed that the reason he ordered dozens of male models was because of his inescapable responsibility with the prince? It turns out the so-called prince was actually a woman disguised as a man. 3 days ago, the emperor hosted a banquet to welcome back the regent who had just won a battle. But despite the calm appearance of the banquet, there were hidden currents beneath the surface. The royal uncle who had long planned to seize power in order to make the prince embarrass himself at the banquet, so that the emperor and regent would develop a strong hatred towards him. He bribed the palace maid to tamper with the prince's water. Unaware, the prince drank the water. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the regent suddenly had an attack from his illness. The prince also had to leave the banquet temporarily because of poisoning. Watching the prince leave, the royal uncle was full of pride. In his eyes, as long as he ruined the prince's reputation today, the throne would eventually be his. When the prince left the banquet, he felt hot and uneasy. At this moment, the royal uncle's people were searching for him, preparing to catch him in the act of embarrassing himself. Left with no choice, the prince had to run, and he just happened to escape to the regent's palace. Due to the severe poisoning, the prince grabbed the regent who had no blood relation to him, and at this moment the regent's illness, which could have suppressed the cold poison, could no longer hold it back. Thus a brief connection occurred between the regent and the prince. When the regent woke up the next morning, he saw the prince leaving with his clothes on, but in his confusion he didn't clearly see the prince's face. He only saw a jade pendant left on the bed, but whether it was an illusion, he felt the pendant seemed very familiar. After court the next morning, the regent unknowingly discovered the prince had a half-dragon jade pendant, exactly the same as the one left behind by the person last night. This quickly made him suspect someone. Just as the regent was about to approach the prince and sniff his scent, the royal uncle suddenly appeared in front of them, trying to get close, and the prince took this chance to leave. After the regent returned to his palace, his subordinates informed him they had found out the direction the prince went after leaving the banquet was toward his place, and that he had left disheveled. Hearing this, the regent was shocked. At this point, he was almost sure the person last night was the prince, so he immediately found the prince and took out the jade pendant, asking if he recognized it. Seeing the pendant, the prince quickly denied knowing it, but the regent pulled the pendant off the prince. Sure enough, the pendant matched the one he had found. Now it was the prince's turn to panic. He knew that since last night's events had been exposed, he could not let his secret identity as a woman be discovered, so he immediately asked the regent a strange question. He asked how the regent felt about men. At this moment, the regent didn't know why he felt no disgust toward the prince. Could it be that he was actually attracted to men, as the prince suggested? To test this theory, he went to the largest entertainment venue in the capital that afternoon, and ordered several male models to dance for him. But out of a physiological aversion, as soon as he saw these men, he felt nauseous and had no interest in them. As the men grew more passionate, he was scared and jumped out the window to escape. But this also confirmed he was not attracted to men. However, before he could be happy for a few seconds, the prince saw the scene. The prince was shocked and never expected the regent would be here. Then, regardless of how the regent explained it, the prince awkwardly turned and ran. But what the prince didn't expect was, as soon as he returned to his palace and took a bath, the regent suddenly arrived uninvited. This startled the prince. No matter what, he could not